The Pixel 6 is now under $200 used on eBay, and since I picked this guy up for $235 back in January, I want to give an update on my experience with this phone the last half year, with extra emphasis on the camera. I say that last part because I had the opportunity to go to Japan this summer, and from heavily using this phone's camera over there, spoiler alert, I can confidently say this is the best phone camera under $200. Let's expand on that point and talk about what this blacked out camera bar brings to the table. There's a 50 megapixel f1.9 main that's the exact same as what you'd find on not just the Pixel 7, but the Pixel 7 Pro. And the only other camera on the back of the Pixel 6 is a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultrawide that's the same as the Pixel 7, but not quite as good as the even wider ultrawide on the 7 Pro. The last thing I'll say about the specs before showing you some camera samples is that this setup aged very well, and I think the investments Google made to overhaul the 6 series still show to this day. Let's look at some pictures. This is Tokyo Bay as dark out as it gets on Pixel 6 night sight. I've said it many times, but night sight is one of my favorite Pixel features and my favorite implementation of a phone camera's night mode. These are essentially smart long exposure photos, but considering these each had a 5-second or so exposure, they're still impressively sharp without any streaks or distortion. Switching to some more city lights, this time from Osaka, I'll just point out the very pleasant tone of these photos where light and color come through with just enough contrast against a noise-free dark backdrop. And I'll quit talking your ear off for a sec and round out the night sight photos with some more clean snaps. Let's move on to vertical videos, which actually show some weaknesses of the Pixel 6 cameras. And I of course gotta give my obligatory apology for the videos being vertical instead of horizontal. Honestly, I shot most of these for Instagram without thinking about using them in a video. But you can see, anytime I switch from the ultrawide lens to the main, the noise levels go down and the sharpness and overall quality goes way up. That subpar ultrawide quality is in addition to Pixel's video quality in general not being as good as the still photos, so these are just not as impressive. But remember, we're talking about a $200 phone here, and at that price, I don't think video gets much better than this. Also, I can't help but say it, the actual things I was filming were absolutely shown out 1000%. Running out this section, here's 2 omelets. If you thought I was going to be ashamed of being that guy filming his food, think again, because these were fire, and I dream of someday making an omelet as good as these. Moving on to regular stills from the Pixel 6, we got clean photos saved at 12.5 megapixels. These photos of some pretty trippy moving sidewalks at O'Hare Airport show you can get tack-sharp photos even while moving and lugging a suitcase behind you. This photo at a coffee shop in Osaka is cool not only because of the coffee making contraption, but the nice depth you get from the wide open main camera. This is actually unique from some phones in the Pixel family like the 6A, which has an older sensor that'll get you much less background separation. Here's another example of that wide open Pixel 6 lens where you can see the face of the cup noodle is in focus, but the edges are blurry. These are photos from the top of a random apartment building staircase, and even though it's not a super challenging lighting scenario, dynamic range is on point with not a single cloud in the sky getting blown out. I'm gonna stop going into extreme detail now and show some more photos with excellent sharpness, colors, and contrast. Now let's get into some ultra-wide photos, which are simply put worse than the photos from the main camera, but the processing is able to make up for the quality of the lens in a way the videos couldn't. These are all pretty nice at the end of the day. I'm not going to point out specific aspects of the photos here, but I will say I do miss both the wider ultra-wide and the 5x telephoto from my time with the Pixel 7 Pro. Now that I've gotten to show off some crispy photos and videos from Japan, let me cover some of the other things I've noticed since my initial Pixel 6 feature. I'd recommend you check that out if you haven't already, since overall, I still stand by everything I said there. First, performance is still great, and it's honestly a relief since we know how Pixels can be with slowing down and getting glitchy. For daily use, the first gen Tensor and 8 gigs of RAM push Android 13 effortlessly. And I'm still really enjoying this fresh and clean UI running at 90Hz. Speaking of 90Hz, the screen has held up great as well, and the only real complaint I have is the screen is not very bright at all. I'm still a fan of the design, but more importantly, it's withstood a few drops on hard floors and concrete with no case and minimal damage. If I had to say anything about the Fingerprint Reader, it's that it's maybe less accurate, but you tend to get more careless as you own a phone for longer, so realistically I think it's working fine. Battery life is the same as I said it was initially at average, but it's really a good thing it stayed that way since this phone's been used for over a year and a half. So that's the Pixel 6 in mid to late 2023. What's changed since my initial coverage is that time has passed and prices have dropped. I already thought this guy was a great deal at $235, but now after taking it to Japan and putting those cameras through their paces, plus knowing the price is lower than ever, I say it's a great all-around phone with especially stellar cameras. Let me know what you think in the comments, subscribe for more quality tech videos, and I'll see you later.